Let's continue with that story where the 2023 Cricket World Cup tournament, well, it's gone now with Australia crowned champions. It was a roller coaster competition for South Africa when we're all hoping to see Temba Bavuma-led side go all the way this year. However, it wasn't to be, as the Proteas journey was cut abruptly in the semifinals. To look at that journey and the tournament at large, we are joined via Zoom by cricket pundit and also a cricket commentator who's also a News 24 journalist. You've seen him on the show many times. Khanyiso Tshwaku joins me now. Tshwaku, thank you so much for availing yourself once again. Maybe a quick word on Australia first before we get to our interview.
Well, Australia are the kings of World Cup cricket, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah.
You cannot understate how well Australia play knockout cricket. I mean, it's their 6th World Cup title. They won 9 matches on the bounce to win the World Cup. If you think about it, they are the example of a team who knows that culture is strategy for breakfast. Australia have World Cup winning culture, and it came through when it mattered. Because if you look at this particular Australian team, it's not a vintage Australia team. It's not probably the best side they've assembled, but it's the best that they have, in the same way that they're the best that they had in '87. And this team just found the right time to play the right cricket, and they found the right character, like in a Travis Head, to play 2 critical and important innings to win them the World Cup. And that's pretty much what everyone will remember, the fact that Australia lost the opening 2 games and won the 9 at the back end and ended up winning the tournament.
Yeah, what do you believe they've done right? I mean, you've highlighted a couple of key issues there, but what is it that they've done right to be able to beat India in their backyard?
Look, firstly, understatedly so, they've read conditions better than any other team. I mean, you look at Pat Cummins did say in the build-up, the final, that is not the greatest of pitch readers. But this was probably the best toss for him to lose, because the best toss for him to win, because he then probably understood the fact that India haven't actually had a bad game. And if you remember, in the build-up to the semifinals, we said India are due a bad game. Do they want to be due a bad game in the semifinal or final? They were due a bad game in the final. Pat Cummins made a brave decision to win the toss and bowl first on a worn surface. I mean, India pretty much shot themselves in the foot by, in inverted commas, requesting the use of a pitch that has gone through some work through the tournament. Remember that there aren't particular ICC rules with regards to pitches that are either used or fresh. But clearly the responsibility of the pitch preparation is left to the host association, this time being the Gujarat Cricket Association. And they chose to use a pitch that had actually was played on twice in the tournament. Whereas when you look back at how this game panned out, a fresh pitch would have provided more bounce. Yes, it would have provided less turn, would have provided more bounce, more pace, and would have allowed actually India to actually score quicker and faster through the game, because once they couldn't get through the power play, where they got to the power play, but they lost 2 wickets in doing so. Australia always furthered them in the game. I mean, that catch by Travis Head to get rid of this thing of Rohit Sharma, those are the catches that decide tournaments. I mean, it's probably similar to the kind of catch that Kapil Dev took in '83 to get rid of Viv Richards. Those are the kind of catches that turn matches. I mean, if you look at how the game panned out, India scored 84-2 in the first 10 overs. They could only score 160 runs in the next 40 overs, and only 4 boundaries. Only 4 boundaries. And remember that Australia actually also bowled their part-timers through that session. And those part-timers, Travis Head, Mitchell Marsh, and Glenn Maxwell, their 10 overs only conceded 44 runs. Zampa went for 145, so they only conceded 80. The spinners only conceded 88 runs. I mean, the 20 overs. Indian spinners, who are better than them, conceded more in their own allotment of 20 overs. So Australia pretty much did the homework with the board. And after surviving that early scare with the when they were batting, they pretty much looked odds on. And I mean, look, that Travis Head innings, I can't argue.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about our team now, the Proteas. We're hoping for so much more from the team, but perhaps let's talk about the comments that we got from the captain as well as Rob Walter. They were talking about how it was a very section-free tournament, but they're obviously still gutted. What is your take on that? Do you agree?
Look, I mean, we if you are honest with ourselves, considering how South Africa have played ODI cricket in a rather unconvincing fashion over the past 2 years. We were on tenterhooks on whether they'll qualify for the World Cup. They were the last team to be confirmed for qualification when Ireland couldn't beat Bangladesh in May. After that, the manner in which they played in the Australia series gave a fair indication that they have found a way to play. And that bat first, consolidate, and finish strong worked. However, though, I think if there's one thing, and unfortunately you learned that through experience, is tactical flexibility and adaptability. And that's what Australia probably showed better than everyone else. Because if you look at how Australia went about the back end of the tournament, in their last 4 games, they had to chase, and they won all the chases. And unfortunately, if you look at South Africa chased 4 times, they won twice. To win a World Cup, you're going to most probably have to chase more than you want to. And most of the time, you're going to have to win the big games chasing. And that is what Australia did. They backed themselves. They were put into a quarter against Bangladesh. Glenn Maxwell, who deservedly hit the winning runs, pulled them out of the fire. And I remember he was dropped on 33. And I was actually saying to an acquaintance earlier that if you look back at the tournament, that was the Herschel Gibbs moment of the tournament where the drop catch in Afghanistan was where Australia pretty much found their voice to end up winning the World Cup.
Yeah. Given that the Proteas just 10 months ago were in a space of bother, probably not even going to qualify automatically, do you believe that then strides have been made by this team?
No, indeed. No, exactly. Remember, this was South Africa's first ICC semi-final in 8 years. Remember that they bombed out the group stages in the 2016 T20 World Cup. They couldn't get out of the group stages of the 2017 Champions Trophy. Couldn't get out of the pool stages of the 2019 World Cup. Bombed out group stage 2021 T20 World Cup. Spectacularly flopped in last year's T20 World Cup. So that's 5 ICC tournaments, consecutive ICC tournaments, where they were unable to get out of the pool stages. So for them to get the semi-finals, having been the last team to qualify for the World Cup, represents massive strides made. But I think now they raised expectation. They couldn't meet those expectations in the semi-finals. Now they've got next year's T20 World Cup that they need to take the momentum from here to build on. And they've also looked forward to the 2025 Champions Trophy that they've qualified for by virtue of finishing second among the log, as the tournament is reserved for the top 8 teams in the World Cup. So it now becomes very important for Rob Walter and his white ball captains to ensure that the momentum operated successfully to build up to the next 2 tournaments at the 2027 World Cup that South Africa will be hosting.
Yeah, thank you, Tshwaku. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you this evening. Hopefully, we're going to see you back in studio soon to chat perhaps maybe Bafana. We know you're an all-rounder. You can do cricket, you can do rugby. Thank you so much. That's Khanyiso Tshwaku, ladies and gentlemen. SABC Sports Cricket commentator and also News 24 sports journalist, joining us to chat all things the Proteas as well as the ICC Cricket World Cup.